So over there is this sprint car capital of the world. Right here are two people who have seen more of this place than most people. Joe and Ron, you have seen every Knoxville Nationals.
Yes.
That's 124 between you if we want to add them up.
Yeah.
Wow. When did you first start coming to the Knoxville Nationals, Joe?
I started coming in 1960 when my parents moved to Knoxville.
Yep.
Brought me with them, of course,
From where?
from Anamosa, Iowa.
Okay.
And my father purchased a newspaper here, and so he got 2 free tickets in the Fairboard because of the press thing.
Yeah.
And so I came because, number one, it was free.
Yeah.
I was new in town.
Yeah.
It was something to do.
Yep.
And, you know, there might be some guys there,
Oh.
maybe, or, you know, whatever.
How old were you then?
I was 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're on the prowl.
Yes. Starting I was just starting my junior year in high school.
Oh,
And so that was my introduction to sprint car racing and to Knoxville in general, and certainly to the raceway.
So who was one of your more famous school teachers?
Oh, well, Ralph Capitani was my government instructor in high school.
I don't imagine you called him Cappy, like most people did.
I called him Mr. Capitani then, and it was very difficult when I moved back here as an adult,
Yeah.
to get used to not calling him Mr. Capitani.
What was he like as a school teacher?
He was great.
Was he?
Oh, he was great, yeah. He was funny. He's very, very smart man.
Yeah.
And he made government and civics very interesting.
Really?
Yeah, very interesting.
He spoke with passion then.
He did, and I think he was probably one of my favorite teachers because he could make it interesting and fun.
When you look back on it now, how privileged, and we were just using that word before, were you to have been taught by Mr. Capitani, or one of the luminaries of sprint car racing in the world?
I think it was great. It also, of course, when he became the race director here, I felt like I had kind of the inside track, you know, because I knew him very well and had known him for a long, long time.
He wouldn't have been much older than you then at school.
He couldn't have been. I don't remember exactly how much older, but, you know, if I was 16, he could have easily been 26, 27 years old and been teaching for 4 or 5 years already.
Yeah.
When he came here.
So what do you remember about your first night? Do you remember much about the experience?
I don't remember too much. I can remember that as I look back on it now, the cars didn't seem as loud to me as they do now.
Yep.
I don't know what size, now I know, you know, the cubic inch of the motors and those kinds of things that I've learned through the years, but then I didn't know anything about that. So they were probably smaller motors and less noisy and so on and so forth. And of course, the design of the cars is so different, you know.
And where we're sitting right now is actually your suite in here. They certainly didn't have this, and they certainly didn't have that big grandstand behind you, and they probably didn't have that big American flag.
They certainly did not. They did not have any of
Nope.
those things. We had old wooden
bleachers.
bleachers, and yeah, it was quite a different place. And that's one thing I'm very proud of the Fairboard, because I think they have really improved the fan experience here. They have put money into the infrastructure and making improvements that make the fans more comfortable. Give them a whole better rounded experience of the whole thing, and I am very proud of them for that. I really am.
It's nice of her to say that, Ron, because we were just chatting. She reminds me a bit of Rose from the movie Titanic, because she speaks with such passion, doesn't she? And she draws you in. You're a remarkable woman, Joe. So many people tell me that that lady that owned the Radio Shack in town, she was a pioneer for women's business and for the role of a woman in this small city at the time. So when she talks about thanking you, I would say she's had a fair bit to do with that as well, Ron.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
You had a different experience to this place the first time than she did, because she had no connection to it. Your connection goes way back to your great-grandpa, yeah?
Yes, my great-grandpa was on the board for 40 years. He was the very first president when they formed the association in 1945. And my dad, yeah, and my dad was also on the board for 30 years. And so I'm just a rookie. I've only got 24 years in.
So let's add that up for a second. So great-grandpa was on the Fairboard for how long?
40 years.
Okay. Dad?
Dad for 30.
70.
And I got 24 in.
So you're almost at 100 years in your family in just commitment to this Fairboard.
Right. And it's
Wow.
one thing my dad taught me, and it's funny to say, but it's always stuck in my mind that it's like Dad said, if you're going to be on the Fairboard, it's just like milking cows. You have to be there every Saturday night. And that's stuck in my mind for my whole life so far. So it's a commitment, just like everything that goes on here, yes.
Were you born and raised here?
I was raised up to Pleasantville, about 9 miles from here, and on a farm, and we farmed like 400 acres, Dad did, and stuff, and my grandfather and my uncle all farmed together.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a real Knoxville, Pleasantville, Pella even. I call Pella Rich Knoxville just because I like to give my friend Craig Ford a bit of stick about that. So you're just living in Rich Knoxville. There is an amazing culture that you can almost feel at this place. And I was talking to Jordan Goldsberry in Illinois the other day, and he said, we went to his old high school. I said, do they have a gymnasium named after you? You're a pretty big deal in sprint cars. He said, no. I didn't grow up in Knoxville where people cared about sprint cars. So, and his point was that there's a good chance if you go to school and play football, you might drive a sprint car. There's a very strong culture. Did you feel that, when you first started to become aware of what this was all about, Ron?
Kinda. I didn't know I had a desire, but I knew it would never happen. But we had a local boy from Pleasantville, Earl Wagner, and
Wow.
that was every Pleasantville area, that was the man, at the time. And
Yeah.
so that was my idol, and I grew up with him being my idol and stuff. And I got to go to Manzanita. I don't remember the year that he won the Nationals out there. And so that was really a big honor. So you just grew up around it, and like my daughter that we just talked to a while ago, that's all Grandpa knows in a way. So it's quite the thing, yeah.
I
And
urge
that
people.
tribute that they built.
Oh,
in
just going to mention
Pleasantville,
that mural.
Yeah.
That is just wonderful.
So it's worth going to, if you've never been to Pleasantville, it's worth taking the drive. It takes 10 minutes.
Yep.
It's right opposite Smoky Row, so you can have a
Right.
good little coffee there.
Yeah.
That's right.
And maybe even go to that nice restaurant that's next to it. But I'm going to put a picture of it right now as we're talking about it, because I went out there just the other day to have a look at it. So 63 years ago, the Knoxville Nationals started. What do you remember about your first one? Do you remember much about it, Joe?
Well, it was a totally new experience for me, not just
Yeah.
sprint cars, but any kind of an automobile race I had never been to. So it was all just amazing. And of course, they didn't turn this track in the times that they do now,
Yeah.
but they sure seem to be going very, very,
Very
fast to me.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was very impressed, and I was just kind of hooked from the beginning.
It gets in, doesn't it?
It does.
I think it'll affect you in any way. Like, even if you're not a fan, you'll come here. If you don't like it, you'll go, wow. Even if it's a wow good or a wow that's not for me wow, it's still wow.
You look at their units, the cars, and it's just a wow factor now.
Yeah.
It really is. I try to bring people that I know from other areas and people locally. I try to get them to come up to my suite with me when they say, well, I'm not really into sprint cars.
Yeah,
And I said,
yeah. How
well,
do you know?
I'm not sure you've really done it the way you should. And of course, doing it from the suite isn't all bad.
No. No.
But, and they are really surprised and amazed that they enjoy it as much as they didn't think they would. So
Tell me about the city of Knoxville, Joe, because you're a very large part of the. Well, I'm going to say large. You're going to say you're a small part. I'm sure of it. Particularly the square, which is my favourite part of Knoxville. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is phenomenal. But there's so many people, and it makes me sad. Don't know that there's a town here. They think North Lincoln is Knoxville.
Well, that's because as in many small towns, the square is becoming less the retail center.
Yes.
We have very few retailers left uptown now.
Yeah.
And that's happening everywhere. That's not just Knoxville.
Yeah.
We used to have a very strong
yeah.
downtown. We had 5 ladies' dress shops when I had mine.
Yep.
We had 3 or 4 menswear stores.
Yep.
We had the People Store, which was a department-like type store. We had Spurgeon's. We had, two excellent shoe stores. But that's all gone now.
Yeah.
And so that's why people aren't downtown as frequently. But Knoxville Square is developing a nice little entertainment center. And Brian and Candy are absolutely in the front of that whole situation, as well as the 111, and so
it's the heart of the town.
It is
the heart of the
and that
town.
courthouse is beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, I don't imagine if you spend time in the bottom of it, it's that nice, but it's a
but
beautiful
that's moved
building.
now.
That's moved. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't stay there overnight anymore
No,
if you wear the orange pajamas?
You don't get to. No.
Okay. What do you remember about your first Nationals, Ron?
Well, there's so many things. I guess the very first one that I remember I was on the city fire department here for 19 years,
Thank you for your service.
and we used to have the well-known fireman's tent, which was at where the suite parking is.
Okay.
And all the firemen gathered there, and of course we had plenty to drink on and to eat well, and it was just a community gathering for everybody. I'm going to tell a very short story on Doug Clark. One afternoon, this is going to be good.
This will be good.
Yeah, I
think most of them are.
Yeah.
He'll be watching this for sure.
Yeah, I know it. But Doug, one afternoon at the fireman's tent, we decided to have a watermelon feed. And so we had, I forget how many watermelons, but one of them, accidentally, I brought in from the farm a syringe that we used for the cattle.
Yes.
And it accidentally had vodka in the...
Accidentally?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Sabotage.
Yeah.
It accidentally got injected into one of the watermelons. And so we kind of set it off to the side so Doug, and every now and then we'd get a little bit from it. But I think Doug, after the afternoon was over with, had plenty of watermelon. but we laced it with vodka. So
that wouldn't happen anymore, Ron.
no, I don't think so. No. But just seeing all the crowd coming to town that year was phenomenal. I mean, I lived out in the country. It just was something else that Marion Robinson and them put on. I mean, it was like my dad said, I don't know how we're ever going to be able to pay for the purse that year, which was, I think, like, I might be wrong, but I must say $5,000. And Dad said, I don't know if we're going to be able to make it or not, but we did her, and it's continuing to grow, and
$175,000 to win now.
Yeah.
Over $1 million. $15,000 just to start the race. More than most drivers will ever win in a one-night deal.
One thing I want to tell you is I bought that year 98 single tickets for the Saturday night with all my friends that we had. They all give me the money.
Yep.
And so I camped out pretty much overnight here at the racetrack and was one of the very first ones to go through to visit Arleta. And Arleta about fainted when she goes, do you know how much money that is? And I said, I've got her right here, Arleta. So I bought 98 tickets that year for the first Nationals.
Can you tell me about Arlita? Because she's such an important part of the fabric of this place.
Oh,
And
yes.
do you know what? It makes me very emotional and still even thinking about it that they've left the parking space for her.
Yes.
Which I think is so beautiful. I've always seen her name on the bench outside the Bingley building there. They always have that there. Tell me what she was like.
She was very helpful. She knew everybody in the country. If you'd go in and ask her a question, like as a fair board member or something, if she'd tell you one way, yes or no. I mean, that's all there was to it. That's the way that she was going to do it, and very helpful to all the people. And used to go in and visit with her all the time, you know, and just sit there and laugh and giggle about stuff, and just an amazing woman. Just amazing woman. I'll have to say that.
So there's a story that I have, and it involves that backstretch over there. So I'm going to say it was 1995. I had brought a tour of 28 Australians to come to the Knoxville Nationals and some other events. We had a t-shirt, we all had a t-shirt that said all the dates on the back of our shirts, all the places we're going. We went to like 16 races in 19 days or something crazy. AMA, flat track Harleys at Black Hill Speedway in Sioux Falls, and UMP late models at Webster City, and we went to everywhere, and we ended up here. So there's 28 of us all in a row over there, and we've all got our shirts on with the dates on the back, and I can hear people behind us talking, oh my God, look at all the places they've gone. And on the shirt, on the back of the shirt, it said, cold beers and right rears, racing at night with Vegemite, is what it said on the back. So a farmer, well, I didn't know he was a farmer at the time, a man tapped me on the shoulder and he said, are you all from Australia? And I said, yeah, we are. He said, where are you staying? I said, there's 28 of us, so the closest we could get was Des Moines. He goes, my wife and I have a farm not far from here. You're all welcome to stay. I said, mate, there's 28 of us. He said, well, my wife loves to cook. Now, that to me sums up the friendliness, the Iowa nice, the Midwestern friendliness, and the culture of this place. I wish I could find that person that did that. I mean, we didn't stay with them, but doesn't that even surprise you? But maybe it doesn't.
Yes.
Yes and no.
Yeah, that's right.
You know. Yeah, that's by being on the fair board, and you can ask all some of the other members. There's people that during the nationals that come up to see you and say hi and shake hands to you.
Yep.
I have no idea what their name is. They read my name on my shirt, and that's about it.
Yep.
But you look forward to seeing them come back every year, and just how their families has grown and everything is just amazing. I mean,
yeah,
that's part of the nationals. I mean,
you make friends for life here.
Yes.
And just a chance where you sit down next to someone in a bleacher, and you start talking, and suddenly you're exchanging addresses, and suddenly Americans go to Australia every now and then. Americans go to Australia. Just saying, young lady, you got time, right? But that's what happens here. It's a special place. You have, I don't know if you call him a favourite Australian, but he's got to be right up there, right, Joe? Do you have a little guy with glasses that's one of your favourites?
Yeah, Skip Jackson, absolutely my all-time favorite.
Thought you might say that.
I have just loved Skippy forever.
Yeah.
And I used to be fortunate enough to be able to help him out some with tires. Not a big contribution, but it was what I could do.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's just the nicest human being.
Sure is.
That is around, and his family.
Yeah.
Those kids are just great, and he adores them, and is a wonderful father as well. But yeah, he's probably my favorite racer of all time.
Ron, before the internet, before we could do all this stuff where you can see literally what everyone's doing up to the minute, Australia must have been this faraway land of strange talking people that love sprint cars as well. But when you go back to Gary Rush and Steve Brazier, and Jamie Moyle was probably the guy that probably raced here full time.
Yeah.
I mean, we had John Walsh and Max and those people came and raced, of course, with Bob Trossel, and Barry Lewis came over. But what was known about Australia when those guys started coming over? I don't imagine much, right?
Kangaroos.
We talk funny. We had kangaroos, but you could tell that we loved the same things, right?
Right. Yeah, you could tell that their passion for racing was just as strong as it was here.
Yeah.
I mean, it their desire and to come over here and to race with us and stuff, and Bob Trosso, I think he did a lot for some of them that come over from Australia, you know. And
Yes,
stuff.
massively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Tom
it-
Schmay
Yeah.
did an enormous
Tom-
amount of work as well with John Evans. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite nationals for any reason, or some that stick out in your mind? What are some nationals that stick out in your mind? Ron, I'll start with you.
Oh,
No pressure.
That's no pressure on
Yeah.
that. Boy, that's a good one.
Uh-huh.
Probably back in the earlier days when they first put the wings on and stuff.
Yep.
That was
Yeah,
really
that was quite a change.
Probably one of my favorites was probably when Mark Kinzer won.
Yep.
And climbed the fence that night after.
That was Craig.
Yeah,
Or that was
Steve's
Craig.
son Craig. Yep.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No, it's okay.
So anyway, but
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I got them mixed up there.
That hadn't happened before. That
No.
someone had climbed the fence like that. Had
No, never had. No. I was going to say one of the other things. I was on the fire department here, rode the fire truck back here on the back stretch,
it? Yep.
and I hold the record here at the racetrack. I hope nobody else ever breaks it. I fell off the fire truck as Ray Lee Goodwin was flipping down the backstretch.
Oh.
And Ray Lee ended up being all right, but they took me to the hospital. So,
What a show off, Ron.
Yeah, that's one of the records. I hope nobody.
I hope you're right.
Yeah. So it was just. We just bounced over the curb here. The Duncan boy. Well, his dad put a kind of a ledge back there, and we rocked sideways on the. I was hanging on the back of the fire truck, and I was trying to hang on, but I couldn't hang on any longer, so down I went. So,
Jeez.
but
Joe, what about you? Do you have a favourite nationals or some that stick out in your mind?
I think probably my favorite was the 50th, just because it was
Yep.
the 50th.
Yeah.
You know.
Who won that
and-
one?
Oh, gee. See, now you're getting hard because Ray Lee Goodwin, I think, was won the first one.
Yes.
And but
So we're going to go
I
back
can't
12
remember.
years. We're going to go back 12 years. There's a pretty good
Yeah.
chance it was someone like Donnie Schatz.
yes,
Yeah,
probably
could be.
yes.
And before that, it was, of course, Steve Kinzer dominated.
Oh, yes.
So between
King.
Donnie and Steve,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
King is.
yeah.
But I think you're right. It was the significance of the moment more than it
Yes,
was who won it.
More than it was who won it. I'm sure it was very special to the one who
Yeah.
did win it because it was the 50th. But yeah, I think just the fact that a half a century we've been having this race, and it had grown so much
Yeah.
in that length of time, and was just spectacular, you know. And they also made the main longer that year because it was the 50th,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, and we talked about Max Dumsney before, and you know, Gary Brazier, of course, with Steve and people like that. But Melinda Dumsney,
Well,
I
Melinda.
was just going to say,
Right,
well,
let's
but
talk about Melinda for a second.
Melinda raced also.
she was the first woman, I think, to ever make an A main here.
Yes,
Yeah.
she was.
And you go on, of course, Erin Crocker was very good around this place as well. But I certainly think of Melinda, and you know, Michaela is just engaged now to Craig Kinzer. So the Dumsies and the Kinzers
Really?
are, and it's cool because they're both monarchy, you know, to Australia and America. They're both royal family of sprint car racing.
Yes.
You know, I think the Jason Johnson win will stick in my mind forever,
Yeah.
and as much for how the passionate it was, but as well that we got to see him win before he passed.
Yes.
And when you look back on it, that race is more special than it ever was, tragically, because he passed away. But
Yeah.
boy, you know, when he shut Donnie down the back straight here, and he
Yes.
said, "Shit, I want to win." That was his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the stuff
That-
you can literally feel this place shake, can't you?
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
and back to the Dumsneys, they bought a home here in Knoxville.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
right.
they
Yeah,
did.
And
Sid Moore bought one, I
yes,
think. Yes.
Exactly. Yes, he did, out at Knoxville Estates.
Yeah.
And Max and Melinda were just great fun people.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed
Oh
it.
yeah, and Marcus is racing over here quite a bit now when he can. Their youngest son, and you know, Matt is an outstanding racer as well, and their son Mitchell was a two-time Parramatta champion. So I love that has carried on. There are people around this venue, Mike Fisher, as
Oh,
an
sure.
example.
Oh,
This
yes.
is your B main.
Yes.
has not missed a night in 42 years or something in his role. Tony Bockoven is coming up on almost 30 years of announcing. John and Connie McCoy, Doug Clark, Justin Clark. There's another generational thing. There is so much pride in the people that work here in their shirt.
Yes, well, and there should be. That's only right. I mean, they deserve to carry that pride and show that pride.
Yeah. I sense that in the Fairboard too, Ron, to be honest with you. I sense, you guys wear your shirts and you're easily recognisable by the blue shirts. And I always make a point of walking up and making sure I say hello to every one of you that I see. Does help that there's a name tag, with people like Art and people like that,
Yeah.
What's it like being on the board? I mean, it can't always be fun. There must be some challenges.
It's fun. There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of goes on behind the scenes that through the week that a lot of the people don't realize what goes on just to get ready for Saturday night. It's quite the deal. I mean, there's just trying to advance things, and improve things around here and everything. And
there's 24 of you, right, in total?
Yes,
there's 24 different points of view, Ron.
Yes.
That can't always be easy.
Yes.
Let's spend the money on this. No, let's spend it on this. The lights, like the cool Musco lights that you guys did in the last couple of years. So there were some challenges. I think the one thing that could be better, Joe, what do you think is one thing could be better about the Fairboard?
Oh, well, I think, of course...
What are you laughing about?
I think, of course, a woman's input would be excellent,
This might be the last time I get to come back here now.
I did want to say one thing, though, about the Fairboard, that everybody has an opinion.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't like something.
Yes.
Yes.
And they take an awful lot of criticism.
Yes, they do.
I have occasionally been critical, very seldom, of course.
Yep.
And I wouldn't let anyone know. But they have to have big shoulders.
Yeah.
Because it isn't easy to please thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
Especially when they don't even understand some of the problems, So they can't possibly understand what they're doing to solve them because they don't even know what the problems are.
This is a battleship, this place.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are so many people under the deck that you don't see.
Yeah.
So many people up in the gun turrets that you don't see. I look at Jim Utermark and AC and Mott and all those guys that put the banners up and slave away in the heat to get the place looking amazing. The Duncans, what a phenomenal family that are so passionate. I mean, Bill Wright here, he's from the, who just walked in. That's why I just said that. Hey, B-Dub.
Hey.
Come over here for a second.
Over here?
Yeah.
All right.
100.
I'm glad Joe got to meet you.
Me too. We were just talking, they have 124 nationals between them. If you add up 62 and 62. Not many people can claim that, mate. How many have you done?
46.
Rookie.
Yeah.
He's gaining now.
Yeah, you've done well, man. 46 is a pretty good number.
Yeah.
I started before I was born. No, that's not true, actually.
Nothing surprises me with you, Bill. Nothing. These people here, I wanted to catch up with them and talk about how it started and how it is now. These people here are the fabric of what makes our sport as great as it is, aren't
Absolutely.
they? I mean, they're so passionate still. Like Joe, she looks like she can get in a sprint car now. Have you ever been in one?
I have pictures in the suite there. I bought a ride in Matt Morrow's car one time.
No way.
On practice night. However, practice night came, got me all in the fire suit, and his dad was telling me about all the switches and all of that, and Matt leaned over and he says, all you need to know is where to kill switches. and I was so frightened. I really thought I was just going to pass out.
Yep.
But they got me in the car, all ready to go, everything, my heart is beating 400 times a minute, and the car wouldn't turn over.
No.
They pushed me off, and the car would not start, and I said, thank you, God. and they pushed me back into the pits. So that was as close as I got.
So never a two-seater ride or anything like that?
No. I don't want to ride a two-seater.
Why not?
I want to drive.
Sassy.
Except I would be so frightened again.
Wow.
Don't ask them.
Was it the 2M?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Look at
there's...
you getting
Well, that
in
was
there.
blue and red 2M.
Yeah.
That wasn't even the.
Huh.
That's so good.
Ain't that something?
Oh, look at you. You look like you're all good to go there.
Well, yeah, that's before anything started to happen. I was happy. And the helmet, I was steaming the helmet. So I was blind and scared. Oh my God. It
How
was
great she
horrible.
looked in that uniform.
I know, right? She's like a race car driver in there.
For our costume night,
I was
it
blind and
very-
scared.
I-
Do you two still love this as much as you ever did?
Yes. Yeah.
You didn't
Yeah.
hesitate then?
No, it gets in your blood, and you're just stuck with it. I mean, it's just something else. Yeah. I did get to start Mike. Years ago, I used to help Mike Brooks a little bit
Oh, wow,
on his
yeah.
car, and we was down to Bloomfield one night, and it was my turn to start the car, and so I went out, and I never got it off of high idle. The thing was shaking. The thing was shaking so bad, and I was shaking so bad, and then they accidentally decided that they was going to do hot laps when I was out there.
Oh,
And they
wow.
was like, get me the you-know-what out of here. So I pulled off in the infield. But that was my one, about 3 laps around the track, my theme to driving the sprint car. So
Wow.
that was something else, yeah.
So, what's the goal? What's the next milestone? Is it the 70th? Is it the 65th? Do you approach it? You're coming up on 25 years next year with the Fairboard.
Right.
You want to catch your dad, I imagine.
I hope so.
Wow.
I'd like to, yeah. I really would.
94 years just in that family alone on the Fairboard, Bill.
I'd like to, yes. If health and everything, and if I can still help out here at the fairgrounds in any way, why, there's so many little things that each Fairboard member does
Yep.
that's not written down in stone or whatever, but they just go do it and enjoy doing it. And that's us, I guess.
And by the way,
Yes.
the old rumor about the Fairboard members getting a new pickup every year
Oh,
There you go.
has no basis.
whatsoever?
There were
Really?
only 2 of them every year that got one.
Wow, really? the other's got a Prius.
Yeah.
And Wade, they had to be white.
Oh, really?
It had to be all white pickup, yeah.
Wow.
Like wearing a white hat.
Yeah.
So today is homecoming day. The parade is on very soon, and hopefully the Panthers will get a win, and hopefully the Hawkeyes will get a win tomorrow. I do like that hoodie there,
Yeah.
Mrs.
And
Goff.
Cyclones. I'll just have
And
that.
How'd that go for you last week, mate?
He always wears his cyclone.
Does he?
Yeah.
They're out there. We know they're out there. We can't do much about that.
No.
I just want to say it's a real thrill for me to sit down and do this with you two. It's always good to see you too, Bill, but these two here are special. That's over almost 125 years between you in commitment and contribution to this sport as a fan or as a board member or just someone that loves sprint cars. So it's a thrill for me, and I think today we should dedicate our chat to Mr. Cappy and our leader,
yeah.
because
Perfect.
you guys had a lot to do with them, and this
Yeah.
is the way this has become now compared to how it started, and wow. I mean, look at your office. You got like a 4-story office now, mate.
Well, yeah.
And it's got the coolest museum in the world for sprint cars. Well, not just because you're standing here. How are you going to spend the rest of today? Are you going in the homecoming parade, or what are you doing?
No.
No.
I have Dish Network at my house. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to watch the Hawkeye game tomorrow night. That is my entire goal for the day.
You want to have a beer with me at Dingus? We'll watch it together.
Oh, do they have direct TV so they got it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Can you
start
imagine
with
AJ
TV.
not having? I mean, I'm pretty sure the AMP will have it. Everyone will have it.
Yeah.
We'll work it out.
Yeah.
It's good to see you guys.
Yeah. I'd
Thank
just
you.
like to thank you for all you do for us
Yes.
over here. We really appreciate it. And thank you a lot, Wade.
Thank you, Ron. It's a privilege,
And
isn't
I
it,
don't
Bill?
know-
I get to ride with him in the crash clinic sometimes. He's got a very old wrecked Toyota. I had a
It's
near-death
Ford-
experience
it's a
with him.
Ford. Yeah, it's a Ford. But
I don't want to call it that. It's lovely to see you guys. Go Hawks, go Panthers,
Yes.
Yes.
and go Knoxville Raceway.